Hey guys, Jins here, and today I'm gonna talk about solo queue finally. But since it's gonna be a really fast point, I'm gonna destroy solo queue in I think 3 steps. I'm gonna read something from the chat from my previous videos, and because I'm not answering, like I said, I don't have that much time when I'm not really playing. I'm working a lot, so yeah, I don't really go answer on the comments, and I chose 3 random videos to answer from the comments. And I noticed, sorry for that, I noticed someone said, I mean, destru have done so since Wrath of the Lich King. It's not as good as AF right now, but definitely more fun, so I'm still playing it. Uh, so it's from Sammy, Suwon. Sorry if I butchered your name, and it's on the Destro video I made a few weeks ago at the start of the year, where I said Destro was better than Affliction. It is. And you start to see people going to Destro now instead of Affliction, regardless of the comp. So I think I proved the point. I really don't need to say much more. Oh, amazing. I don't think I need to say much more about that. Destro is just better. I tested it yesterday with Shadowplay. I wanted to see how good it was, and it was pretty good. If you can see, like, the damage, it's there. Obviously, it doesn't do as much damage as Affliction, but like I said on my Affliction, one of my videos, um, it's the games are not about damage, are about winning and about killing someone. And while the affliction damage needs to be divided by 3 or by 2 players, so the DPS needs to be divided by those as well. And you see that affliction single target, it's terrible if you do that. It's below an assassination or a frost mage, so Destro does almost the same damage. And I think we faced a shadow play at some point. I think it was in Tolviron. There you go. I even out damaged the Affley. Like, it's about more than but more than damage. It's not about damage, it's about securing kills, and Destro is way better. For example, against that shadow play, we killed the paladin because he went in for a hodge. Obviously this is low MMR. um, Still gearing my friend shadow priest and my friend Holy Paladin. They don't really have that much gear, but yeah, the potential is there. And I think if you can play Lock Shaman or Lock Shadow Priest, which are the 2 best comps with the Paladin, and you play with the as Destro, you will have better results, or you should have better results at killing people, right? It's just an overall better. Chanimals did a video this week, I think, about about which path you should take, and go check that video on his channel, and he explains why you take certain paths, and yeah, just overall it's just a better a better spec, I would say, because you have single target damage. But yeah, like I said, a few almost a month ago, Destro is the S tier spec that no one is talking about, and then it got buffed. So yeah. Let's see if we have more comments on this. Okay, someone said on my thoughts about TBC versus Live Arena, are we ready for a 40-minute game with drain mana? That data is an incredible game design, or that is an incredible game design. Um, you must be talking about 2 versus 2, obviously, because in 3 versus 3 there's no game that goes above 10 minutes in TBC. But talking about 2 versus 2, like I said, if you face Wrestle Druid against Wrestle Druid, probably you will have longer games. You had it in Wrath of the Lich King as well. Wrath of the Lich King was actually the expansion where they put a timer on for the first time on Arena because the games were being so long. So in 2 versus 2 you might have 40-minute games, yeah, maybe more, depending if they put a timer on TBC Arena or not. It depends what they do. But players are better right now than they were in TBC. And while in Wrath of the Lich King, the games would last a lot because healers pretty much wouldn't go in TBC it was different. The healers would go but they had the ability to go drink. For example, if you played with a druid against another druid, that means the other druid doesn't have a magic dispel. So you would root someone and you would go drink. And that's the difference between Wrath of the Lich King and TBC. In Wrath of the Lich King, you also could do that easily, but the mana overall was just higher. DPSs wouldn't go For example, frost mages wouldn't go but in TBC they do. Same with shadow priests, same with elementals. The game changed from TBC to Rat because the mana overall just started. It was the first expansion where the mana wasn't as important as in for DPS classes, for example. And in TBC, it's not like that. Now, like I said, you're gonna have frustrating things like Vipersing on mages if they play with a priest and they just go home from Vipersing and all the hunter does is Vipersing a mage and or the priest, right? That's gonna be frustrating. But what I meant with that video from TBC versus Live Arena is that overall, even though you do have a lot more stuff that is frustrating in TBC overall, it's around the same because then you don't have demon hunters that have 2 stuns. One of them it's AoE. Then if they miss their kick, they just banish you. Or a windwalker which has incap, stun, ring, and kick. Right? You don't have as many kicks. Not all classes have kicks, so the game it's a bit less frustrating from that point. But you have other stuff, obviously. Um, and from PvP changes, first February the 1st reaction. I mean, Resto Druid Met is terrifying, but they should have a bit more Dispel Protection versus Klepto Dispel Spam. I don't think they need more Dispel Protection. What I think they need to start doing in terms of PvP, this is ban rule. What I think they need to do is just make purge cost resources and meaningful resources. So, for example, if you're an enhancement shaman, purge should cost Maelstrom weapon procs, right? So, if you purge, you don't have access to an instant heal, for example, or a really fast lightning bolt. That's the way I should do it. That they should do it. So, if you're an elemental shaman and you want to purge, you need Maelstrom, and that means you don't have as many Earthshocks. There needs to be more risk versus reward in PvP, and you don't really have that at the moment. So for example, if you're a Shadow Priest and you want to spam these spells, Shadow Priests can do around 24 to 40 dispels now with the conduit, I guess. You can do around 30 to 40 dispels from HOTS, and that is just obnoxious without losing anything. They lose a bit of damage, but at the same time, I think they still gain insanity from pressing dispel unless they changed it. So yeah, you don't need druids to have dispel protection. You need other classes to not be able to spam dispel, and that's the problem. So if you change the dispel cost from mana, which doesn't matter anymore, to a resource like insanity, like maelstrom, like maelstrom weapon, and then on the healer side make it cost mana, but not too much mana because they need to purge obviously, but to cost quite amount of mana. You shouldn't be rewarded for purging in a way that if you purge, for example, if you face a Mistweaver in the Wrestler Shaman and you spam purge the Mistweaver HOTS, the Mistweaver gets him before you. That shouldn't work like that. Frost and Asa isn't enough, in my opinion, in terms of buffs. I don't know why Arms got buffed and Windwalker is untouched. Well, about Arms, I know why they got buffed. In PvE, they sucked. I don't know about this new buff making them better. Windwalker Monkeys Untouched, I don't get it either because they were, if I'm not mistaken, one of the most represented classes in MDI, right? So, and they are one of the better DPS in the raid, so I don't know. Frost and Asa isn't enough. I don't want Asa to come back. I want Sub to be the best spec. I think Asa it's completely brainless. It's the easiest spec to play in the game. You just press kidney shot on cooldown pretty much, or when you do a go, and in between you just do damage. I think it doesn't have that much skill attached to it, especially when you have stuff like Subterfuge. And Frost Mages, yeah, I agree. I think Frost should be the PvP spec. It should be better than Fire, but Fire needs to be brought down, and Frost needs to be maybe buffed a bit further more, maybe 3% more. But they need to buff stuff that is single target. The problem with Frost is everything is AoE, so yeah. I'm pretty sure there is even a cooldown on the reduction proccing. Oh, this is about the affliction, not the affliction, the warlock conduit. This one. Yeah, there is. It's a 27 seconds. Um, it's a 27-second proc thingy. Warlocks have probably the worst endurance conduits of all the classes, I would say. Um, but yeah, okay. Let me see if we have here more comments. Yeah, it's just on the destru side. Everyone's saying Affliction is still but the best, which it wasn't when I did the video, and now that Destruction got buffed by another 5%, it's just not the best spec. The problem with Affliction, like I said, is you don't have meaningful damage, so you can't really. If they ever nerf Holy Paladins, like sometime this year in 2021, we might see Affliction come back, and then you have this really interesting meta for Affliction, which is Holy Paladins are your biggest counter, and jungles are your biggest counter as well. Or any hunter disc priest team, it's pretty much your biggest counter with the Holy Paladins at the moment, and you lose 90% of your counters with the Holy Paladins being gone because the ladder is filled with Holy Paladins, and all of a sudden you only have one counter, which is Discreased Hunter teams. For some reason, it's just impossible to win since they just nerfed our survivability back in Legion. So that comp should be impossible to win, but other than that, then you face a lot of Destros, and Affliction should win against Destro Warlocks um, pretty easily. Even Destro Warlock comps at the moment, if they win against Affliction, it's because they play with the Holy Paladin, and obviously the Affli Lock is doing 15% less damage. But yeah, until they actually make tuning either to the spec or two Holy Paladins, don't try Affliction. There's no point. You're just gonna be wasting time. You're gonna be playing games until 30 to 40% dampening, and then lose in dampening if you do, like I said on my yesterday video, you lose if you just do one mistake in a 10-second window. While as Destro, you are tankier, and you can actually punish people. So the 10-second window also applies to yourself, where if they make a mistake in a 10-second window while you have cooldowns up, or 20 in this case, you can actually win the game. So yeah. But yeah, guys, that's it from this. Now let's talk about solo queue. So solo queue for me it's a no-go in arena. I'm gonna say it right now. For me in rated BG it makes sense. You make 6 versus 6 rated BG, and it makes sense, right? You guarantee that is 2 healers, 1 tank, and 3 DPS, and you're Gucci, right? Or 4 DPSs and 2 healers, whatever. Um, that I don't mind. What I mind is people talking about arenas, right? And I'm gonna kill it in an instant. So first, you need to make it so you can choose the comp, right? You make it so it chooses, for example, if I'm a Destro Warlock, I want to play with a Shaman and with a Paladin, I choose those classes and I queue up, right? I queue up, I'm not gonna have an instant queue. People talk about solo queue like it's gonna solve the issue of not being able to just jump in. You wouldn't be able to jump in as well in solo queue because you have rating attached and you have a comp attached. So you would be waiting for an elemental shaman in this case and a holy paladin to queue up, right? It wouldn't be instant like Stoops, Savix, and everyone makes it sim. It's never gonna be instant because you need those specs to queue. So you're there waiting in the queue. Your rating. Then my next question is the second step to kill solo queue. Does it go from CR or MMR? Because it's actually pretty different. You can be 2k CR, but have around 2.4, 2.5, 2.6, whatever, above that MMR. Or you can be 2k CR and have 2.1 or even 1900 MMR, right? Um, so my question here is, if you go from CR, okay, you go from CR and you get players that are playing at 2k CR, but you're only that CR because you're progressing still on your MMR, right? And you get a player from 2k CR that is not really progressing, is pretty much stuck there, and your MMR drops. And my question is, how toxic would you guys think people would be from MMR dropping? Because at higher ratings, until you reach like mid-season, no one really cares about CR. They care about the MMR because it's the easiest way. You can just get the CR super easily if you get a high MMR, right? So if you're 2k CR, you're waiting on the queue still because, like I said, you still need to wait for that shaman and that holy paladin to queue up as well, right? It's not instant. Um, and you have 2k CR, and you don't care about losing MMR at all because you want to play. Why don't you just go LFG? It's the same shit. The time it takes, or the time it would take for you to actually get a queue, and you can put shaman, you can put a shadow priest and the paladin as well, or you're crazy and you put all classes. There it would work, right? Every comp available, and you just get a random comp. But it wouldn't be good. But the moment you start to filter through the specs, through the classes, it's the moment the queue starts to get bigger, right? So why don't you just come here? And if you're playing with and if MMR it's not important for you and you just want to play according to CR, just do this. Warlock looking for trees 2k CR and you list it. It's the same shit. It, it's legit the same shit. Or are the players and they talk about toxicity in LFG and there is a lot of them, a lot of it. But are the players that are toxic in LFG not gonna solo queue? But it's preventing those players from being toxic to you. You will get whispered. If if you're 2.1 MMR and the other dude it's 2.5 MMR and he loses because you do a mistake, he's gonna be fucking toxic to you like it would be in LFG. There's legit no difference. So solo queue in my mind, and it's actually a pretty stupid idea notion for World of Warcraft because it makes no sense. It works in comps. It doesn't work with the classes. So every class has three specs, four in terms of the druid and two in terms of the DH. So every class has three specs. You need to filter through those. Uh, The queue time, it's exactly the same thing as just getting here and finding people. Uh, It's such a stupid idea, such a stupid notion. It's exactly the same. The toxicity will still be there because these players that you're seeing right here, they will be toxic in a solo queue system as well. Like it's so fucking stupid. It baffles me. How can Savix and Stoops not see this? Uh, It's not about they are taking as if solo queue is gonna act like arena skirmish, where if I queue, I get an instant. Why? Because it doesn't filter through anything. It just puts two players together, and that's why skirmishes are a really shitty experience. Because you can't really, unless you do a pre-made, you can't really pick what you're gonna play. It's just stupid, man. For rated BGs, yes, I don't think it matters as much. But for and even there it matters. But let's say it doesn't matter as much. But for arena, it's fucking retarded, and it's just stupid. It's just a really stupid idea, and it would actually be bad for the game. So I don't get the solo queue, like because then you have classes like hunters that only work with two other specs in the game, like ferals and rats. They would be in the solo queue for a whole day, waiting for a feral to queue up and then waiting for a disgrace to queue up. Like it wouldn't change instead of being here. And probably here it's even faster than solo queue because you can actually be there, do other stuff. Yeah, you could do that in solo queue, I guess. But yeah, those are my thoughts about solo queue. What we need, honestly, it's just a better LFG system where it allows you to see CR without having to whisper people. Seeing CR, seeing the spec, they got the CR, seeing MMR, seeing the best achievement in arena and the dates. And yeah, this would be a way better system because a lot of people actually lie to you, and you need to go in to check PvP and the site websites or any other website that you use, and you need to check their CR, their experience to see if they are not lying, and it's a really shitty experience, obviously. But but if you, instead of using solo queue, you just improve this system, and then you improve the skirmish system. Like I think it's funny how in TBC, and you guys gonna see it, you can queue skirmish for 2v2, 3v3, and I think 5v5. I'm not sure about the 5v5 now, but I know you can queue skirmish for 2v2 and 3v3, and here you can't even choose. So this skirmish system is so shitty that if you're a new healer and you want to do like a 2v2 skirmish just to try, and you're new to arena and you just want to try stuff and see if the macros work, see how it is arena, you always get into a 3v3, and 3v3 skirmish, it's a shit show. You have one guy going on the healer, you have another guy trying to CC the healer, and then the guy that is trying to CC the healer stops CCing the healer, and the guy that is hitting the healers goes to a DPS randomly. It's just a shit show in skirmish. In 3v3, if you can't solo as a DPS, you just lose as well most of the time. And as a healer is just really bad when you can't test stuff in 2v2 instead of 3v3, because it's just overall harder. But yeah, guys, that's my thoughts about solo queue. It's a big no. It's a big yikes for whoever thinks solo queue. It's actually a good system for World of Warcraft. It's exactly the same as LFG. If you're queuing solo queue at .cr, right? Because if I'm queuing solo queue at 298 CR, I can do the same in LFG. I think people just need to change their mentality instead, where they are looking for people who are like 200, 300 CR more, or 200, 300 more experienced than they are. And that's overall like a social problem. Solo queue would actually finish that, I guess. Not a social, a human psychology problem. But solo queue would actually kill that, but the toxicity would be bigger because have, if you earned MMR and then you lose MMR in like two or three bad queues in solo queue, you're gonna be toxic like fuck. From it's just bound to happen. It's how we work, and it's how many how fuck me. It's early, sorry boys, but it's how humans work. You're just gonna be toxic, or most humans at least. So yeah, solo queue it's just a shit system. It's just a shit idea. I don't like call people stupid. I usually do a lot, but I don't like. But it's such a stupid idea that if you think it's actually good for the game, just retarded. You're just stupid. Like, where's the fucking IQ of people? I don't get it. Like, if you haven't think of what I just said and you're supporting solo queue, I hope this video actually helps you see how stupid it is as a system. Because you have MMR, you have CR. You go through CR, okay, I'm gonna queue now and I'm gonna play instantly. It's 5 minute queue. Oh fuck. I need to wait for Shadow Priest to log in. 40-minute queue. Oh fuck. What am I gonna do now? At least in LFG you can actually have access to 2v2, right? So unless you queue both 2v2 and 3v3 at the same time, but you can do the same. You can just do the same in LFG. Everything you can do with a solo queue, LFG actually takes care of and better because you actually have a social interaction. You can actually talk with the person and seeing. I think the most problem is people just invite you and or you just invite people and you don't talk with them, and so you have a shitty experience. But by talking with them, and usually I just talk with them at the start, by talking with them, you can actually have a nice experience. And most of my teammates are actually from LFG. That wouldn't happen in solo queue, contrary to what people say. Oh, you're gonna start talking with these people. Nah, bro. I do LFD and while leveling, and I don't talk like I leveled what 4 or 5 levels with the same group in LFD while leveling my characters, and I didn't talk with them anymore. Fuck you. I have more things to do. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Yeah, peace.